I guess unrepair is going to continue to be a little problem. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Undead Unluck episode 15? 15. Yeah. Uh, I guess we're heading into a new arc, but Unrepair is still around. He was killed, but is somehow alive. Because he had to have been killed for Fuko to survive, for her to stop bleeding out. But he's alive, and he's bite-sized. Like, why is this man chibi? Why did he turn into a kid? What is going on? I assume we'll get answers on that, but we're also waiting to see if Unmove will join the roundtable. So, a lot of questions as to where this is going to go, but since we finished off that last arc, I'm assuming the new opening is going to be here. Listen, I know there's two openings. I'm really surprised that they held off on the second opening until now, I assume. If it's not this episode, I have no fucking clue. Because it's just like it's usually split down the middle. When you have a 24 episode series, the first 12 have an opening, the second 12 have an opening. But no, this is doing it differently. I think it's 26 this time. And there's like 13 and 13, but you get the point. Either way, the gist is still there. I kind of appreciate that they would wait until finishing off the arc. But at the same time, I'm just surprised by it and maybe a little antsy because I'm also concerned about a new opening. Because as I've talked about, it's like sometimes anime openings, when they're so good the first time around, the second opening just is very weak by comparison and ends up being kind of a disappointment because of that. To the point where it's like you don't even want to listen/watch it. And I'm really, really hoping that's not the case here. But I feel like it's almost guaranteed it's not going to be Queen Bee again. Because that's very rare. I mean, this isn't like Attack on Titan, who has like the same band doing every theme song pretty much. I think except maybe one. It's rare to have the same artist do two separate themes for the same series. And so I'm not expecting Queen Bee. Although that would be freaking awesome. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know at this point, like, who else we could get. There's a lot of other artists, but, like, to match the tone and style of this, I felt like Queen Bee was kind of perfect. Of course, I'm also biased towards Queen Bee, to be fair. I'm just really worried about the opening. If it's still really good, then I'll be happy, at least. But I'm really worried it's going to be one of those cases where I don't really like it as much and I end up like not wanting to watch it because of that. It's going to suck if that ends up being the case. So I'm really hoping that it impresses me enough to want to continue to watch the opening every time. We shall see. Excuse me. But for the time being, we're just going to get into this and hope for the best. So let's see what this episode has in store for us. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all of the awesome gaming content we have on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day. Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and on Saturdays we have Poppy Playtime. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I redirect all reactions just due to copyright, you know how it is. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started on today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This episode was very jam-packed with a lot of things going on, a lot of information thrown at us. And I'm being completely honest here, there's quite a few things in this I just did not grasp. I don't know if it's just because of the information overload. I don't know if it's because, like, I don't know, maybe, like, I haven't been in the right mindset lately for that kind of information dump. But it's like, for example, the stuff that Unrepair was talking about with their group, which is, I guess, called Under. I didn't grasp what he was saying about, like, their goal and everything and what's going on. Apparently that gun allows whoever holds it to see what I am assuming is Ragnarok, what was talked about before. And that big shadowy figure we saw was, I guess, God. And so it seems like Under's entire perspective is, oh, this thing can't be killed, so we're not even going to try. We're just going to try to take over the world before that so we can have some modicum of control, some modicum of, you know, taking our lives into our own hands before they're taken from us. And that's all I really got of their entire, like, plans and goals and everything. Like, everything else just kind of went right over my head. Again, I don't know if it's just I wasn't in the right mindset or whatnot. Like, I'll be honest, like, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I've, like, not been in the best mood over the past couple days. And maybe that affected things. Maybe it affected my ability to really understand this or not. It's possible. And maybe I just would have to watch this multiple more times to figure it out. But it really just, I don't know. I just didn't fully grasp it. Like let me look back on it right here. I'll mute it, obviously, so that there's no issue with audio and everything. But another thing is, he says that he did die, that he got beat clean and everything, right? But he just refuses to elaborate. It's like, my dude, fucking tell us how you survived. You like, giving a total non-answer does not help anything. It doesn't... I get if you're trying to be all mysterious and everything, but Jesus, my dude, we want answers. And I know that also kind of just goes towards the manga writer and everything, like, just holding off on giving answers and stuff. All he really says is, long story short, I ended up looking like this, but soon I'll go back to normal. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? What is it? And yeah, we see here, I'm scrolling through it right now, we see the vision and everything, which freaks Fuko the fuck out, very obviously. Seeing a vision of the end of the world would probably freak mostly anyone out. But I really love how Andy rushes over to her to make sure she's okay. Like, Andy kind of, like, almost pretends that he's doing this just to find a way to die. But it's very, very clear he's not only just a good person, but he does actually care for her. And he got really, like, when she started freaking out like that, he got scared and he ran to her. And he might not even fully realize it, but I think he, like, was really afraid that something had just happened to her there. So let me try going through this again here. Yeah, he says something about we can go to the next step, unlike any of you. What does that mean? The next step of what? Because that's a response to Andy saying, like, oh, your rule's going to be short because the end is nigh and everything. What does the next step mean? What is he talking about? And then apparently, his group under, they're like in Egypt and China, and the Round Table members are fighting them at the moment. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening? And he says this world turns because we live on it on vessels. He's being like super cryptic, right? It should be the other way around, right? Otherwise, it'd be unfair. In 3 months, the world will flip around and become fair. What the fuck is he talking about? What I'm gathering from this is Under is going to be like kind of our main villain group at this point, and they're in the opening. We saw like the bunny suit character, for example. So it's not a surprise that they would continue to be antagonists going forward. But it's like we were basically told nothing. It's all this cryptic bullshit that doesn't actually tell us anything. The only thing it tells us is that Under has some kind of, I would say, advantage that the Round Table doesn't know about. But what that advantage is entirely in the dark. There's no way to even pretend to guess at it. Because the only information we're given here is so cryptic and so, like, unclear that there's just no way to understand what the fuck he's even talking about. And I don't know if it's exactly like this in the manga or whatnot, but it's like I'm just left like really confused and not quite like sure what the fuck is even happening. But like Andy and Fuko basically dedicate themselves even further to fighting and defeating God. And Unrepaired is just like, oh, that's fun. You're fun. And then just like fucks off by, I guess, probably grabbing onto a train or something when it passes by. Um, Chikura hears all this and they end up going into a classroom to talk to him. And we find out that, like Tatiana and Fuko, he accidentally killed his parents with his power. It unlocked when he was just walking around with them. He accidentally froze them in the middle of the street, and a driver who was asleep ran them down. Father died instantly. Mother survived a little bit to give him some parting words in the hospital, and then died as well. Yeah, and Fuko, I almost wish Fuko had like told him that she can connect with that she can relate with that, because it's like she literally went through that same kind of thing with the airplane and everything, the Final Destination shit that happened with that. She basically went through the same thing with accidentally killing her parents. Like, obviously that's why, I mean, she also was crying just because she's, a good person and, very sympathetic and empathetic towards people. But it's unquestionably also because of her own past and everything. I feel like her connecting with him on that would have been really nice to see. I mean, you could say like, oh, show don't tell. It's not necessary to for her to have done that, but I think it would have allowed for like a better connection and to really forge this kind of like clear friendship that's being built up between them. I think it would have been just a good idea. And I still think Andy like might have some secrets with that as well. Because with I mean he can definitely connect with both of their both of them having been suicidal and all, because he's been trying to find a way to die because he's been alive for so fucking long. And I think there might be a lot more to him than we know, and I think we're going to find out a lot more, considering it seems like Victor's going to be a notable thing for the rest of this season. He's in the opening, and Andy is directly fighting him in the opening, so that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But we also have the fact that in here, Ruiz talks about him, and in a way to where it makes it clear she knows him, and has probably known him for quite a while. It's probably not like just a thing like, oh, she found out about him after Andy was taken hostage and was kept imprisoned by them. No, she probably knows him, like, personally. I don't know how, I don't know what the reasoning is, I don't know any of the information, but it definitely comes across that way. Um, Meanwhile, Nico apparently has the ability to just erase people's existence. It's like, oh, he could just do that. So that everybody will just forget who you are. Completely. That's broken as fuck. There's a character in One Piece in the Dressrosa arc who has a similar ability. Her devil fruit turns people into toys, and once they're turned into a toy, everybody in the world like forgets about their existence. It's extremely broken and tragic and like really fucked up. And this very much reminds me of that, except the execution here is entirely different because it's actually showcased to be a good thing. Chikara himself asks for it. He requests it because he doesn't want anyone burdened by his disappearance. He wants himself to basically disappear so he can dedicate everything to, in his eyes, atoning for what he did. Even though it was not his fault. But he still blames himself a lot and he wants to atone for that, and so this is his way of doing so. And he's scared. He's insanely afraid, but he's giving... He's putting forth efforts and trying to give his 100% to make sure that he can, save the world and make it a world that he can live in one day as a normal kid. And that would be absolutely preferable. So in response, Fuko asks Andy to train her. She wants to learn how to actually fight. Because she's kind of gotten by the skin of her teeth, usually relying on Andy or just acting without thinking. And it's helped. She's been an absolute help towards everyone else. But she learning how to actually fight, like through martial arts or whatnot, would be unquestionably invaluable. Like, having martial arts and fighting prowess with her ability could be extremely useful. But Andy's response to that as well was very interesting. He didn't smile, he wasn't excited, he wasn't wicked sick or anything. He looked at her with almost a sad expression and very quietly and calmly said, "Sure." I think there's a part of Andy deep down that really, really wishes she didn't have to be going through this. And that is really upset that she is. He's not going to tell her not to do it because it's her decision, and he's going to respect that. But I think there's a part of him that really doesn't want to. That really wishes that she would not be in this position in the first place, that she could be a normal girl, just living her life. And I don't think it's necessarily out of, feelings for her. I think it's just out of empathy. I think Andy truly would love for all of this like crazy bullshit to end. To not have to put people, young people like her and Chikara through this again. And I'm almost kind of wondering if seeing her reaction to the classroom is why he reacted this way. Remember, this is something I actually almost forgot at first. She didn't grow up having a normal life. She couldn't. She never got to go to school because of her ability. She never got to have friends. She never got to do any of this normal stuff. Anything she knows is self-taught. Anything she experiences is because it's all she could. She lived a horrifying, solitary life. And her only experience with schools like this was through her manga and everything. And that's even what she was saying. Like, she was saying it's just like in her manga, or whatever the exact words she said were. She was so excited to see it. So excited to find out that Chikara is, in his last year of school and getting ready to figure out college and all. And that is super fucking sad. Like, that's, I think, the saddest part of this episode. Like, even sadder than, like, I mean, it shouldn't necessarily be sadder than the death of Chikara's parents and finding that out, but I think it got to me more because, like, I've already seen multiple characters in this show having to deal with the fact that they accidentally killed their parents when their powers activated. Um, it's like, I think I'm used to it by now, which is kind of terrifying, but also, reasonable enough considering. But then you have this, and it's like, this is a whole different level of sad that it's like, yeah, we've touched on it. But this is, I feel like, the first time it's really, like, drilled it into our heads. Like, it's been talked about, but it's never really been shown exactly how big of a deal that is until now. We get to see her actual reaction to just being at a school. Just getting to experience that. And it's heartbreaking. And I do genuinely wonder if that actually is what caused Andy to seem so sad at the end there. Because, like, even with the goofiness that ensued, like, in the classroom, like, with her laughing at Andy being called, like, a old man who was held back too many times, and then him tickling her to get all of her laughter out and all, which, what the fuck? um, Even with that goofiness, I don't know, I almost feel like that just, I mean, that would affect me. If I had heard that and known, like, what she had gone through, that would crush me. So yeah, I'm just, that's the one of the biggest things I took away from this episode. But we also had a new opening, and yeah, I mean, maybe it'll grow on me, but it was like nowhere near the level of the first opening. It's not bad. I want to make that clear. I don't think the opening is bad. I just think it's a bit generic compared to the original. When I call an anime opening generic, what I mean is that it feels like a very standard anime opening. It doesn't do anything like overly unique with the visuals, or the music itself isn't that unique. Interestingly enough, the ending theme, the theme for the ED in this, the second ED, is so drastically better than the theme for the opening, in my opinion. It was so much more unique and stylish that I think that would have worked better as the opening theme. But the theme that we got, as well as the visuals, like compared to the first opening, are just so bland. They don't do anything special or unique with them. They don't do anything like that stands out compared to other anime openings. It's just like it's just standard anime opening fare. And it's good in terms of that. But the first opening for this series was just on another level. And it's like it kind of reminds me of Dororo, where the first opening for Dororo was like one of the best anime openings, period, in my opinion. And then you have the second opening, which just is not good comparatively. It's good in general, but comparatively, it's such a massive step down that it feels like excessively disappointing. And you just don't want to really watch it because it's like it just reminds you of how much better the first opening is. And that's really not the best feeling. Because the opening of a series, of an anime, is meant to hook you in. It's meant to, like, get you invested in what's about to come. You're supposed to get excited when watching the opening. And the first opening absolutely did that for me. And again, I didn't expect that Queen Bee would be doing the opening again for the second OP. But it's just, I hope that it would still be really cool, really exciting, really fun, really unique. But it wasn't. And it's nothing against the artist or anything. It's just, the song is just very basic to me. It feels very bland. The anime openings that stick with me the most are the ones that are more unique, more interesting, more impactful, and don't sound like a normal anime opening. You have the first opening of this, you have Dororo, Chainsaw Man even. These are openings that just are so different, so standout from your typical anime opening in terms of theme song and visuals that they work on such a visceral level. And it's like that's the kind of stuff I want. This is why I don't get why there's so much love for the opening of Oshinoko, for example, at least season 1 of that. Like that opening was praised to high heaven, and it's like I don't get it. It's super generic and boring. It's like it's not that good. It's not, again, it's not like bad. I'm not gonna like hate on it, but it's such a generic standard anime opening. It doesn't do anything unique or different. The song isn't that catchy. I don't get the appeal. Like, even Attack on Titan's openings are more unique than that. And only a couple of those, I think, are really that good. And I understand it's all subjective. Like, taste in music and animation and art styles and everything are going to be entirely subjective. But I'm just sharing my opinion. I'm just sharing my thoughts. And honestly, I just am not impressed. There's so many amazing anime openings that come out these days. Like, look at Dan to Dan. One of the biggest animes out right now. The opening is phenomenal. And, I mean, I had to admittedly grow into that a bit. But it's like, the opening is really fucking good. And it's gotten so much attention because it's really fucking good. People fucking love it. because it's unique. It doesn't sound like any other anime opening. It doesn't look like any other anime opening. Hell, even other anime openings by the same band, Creepy Nuts. This Dan to Dance opening is nothing like Call of the Night's opening. It is nothing like Mashl's opening. It's very different than even those. You can tell it's the same band, but it's also very unique. It stands out. And I would say that about all three of those openings. None of them sound like the others. They're all very unique. And I think that's why Creepy Nuts openings are always really fucking well received. Because the artists who do the visuals, the artists and the animators who do the visuals, really go all out to make them, like, obscenely special and unique and interesting. And Creepy Nuts makes sure that even though they definitely have a uniform sound that you can tell, it's like, oh yeah, this song is Creepy Nuts. At the same time, their songs do all still sound different. Different enough to help them stand apart. And allows them to be their own level of popular. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's amazing. I really like that about them. And yeah, I'm hoping that we can continue to get really unique and creative anime openings in the future. But this just isn't one of them. Again, maybe it'll grow on me a little more, but I can't see this growing on me that much. It's just super bland to me, and I'm probably not going to watch this every time. I might watch it one or two more times, but I'm not going to watch it every time from this point forward. It's just disappointing. But that being said, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of the opening? What do you think of the information dump we got? What do you think of the inherent sadness of this series? Let me know on all of that and more. Just no spoilers, as always. So thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.